Well, folks, it's good evening on Radio FM 88 Australia. We're broadcasting on a Thursday, 17th of October, 2024. Our co-host, none other than Andrina Forrest, has arrived in the UK from her trip in Egypt. She went to A&E in UK hospital and was told that she's got pneumonia in both the lungs as a result of her trip to Egypt. Hence the reason we've made some adjustments. And guess what? You can see the lady sitting there. Name is Tricia McCormick. And we actually had her back in 2023. And at this time she was coming live from New South Wales. Her forte is collecting herbs and making tinctures. But today, it's more about the fact that herbs, tinctures, and whether or not the body responds to those tinctures. Or alternatively, the herb, if you hold the herb in your hand, which is called Kinesiology. And so without further ado, I'm going to welcome Trish to the show. Good evening.
Good evening, thank you.
So in the background, I've got some trees, water to sort of give the feel of what you do, rummaging around Australia's bush. So since the 2023, must be close to 18 months since we last had you. How's it gone for you?
Well, since then I've begun writing a book. It's about foraging. It's about finding the herbs in your own backyard, and so that's something to watch out for. They're medicinal purposes, and as Mother Nature provides anyway, so it's always good to look in your own backyard to see what she's got there. And so that's in the making, a book.
All right. Oh, actually, just change the subject there, because we're going to be talking about herbs and tinctures and kinesiology. Penning a book, putting it together. Let's start on that conversation. Are you using a word program or using dictaphone?
I'm using a pen and paper at the moment. I'm
right.
Old school until I'm just collecting a lot of notes and photos, and then I will wait till the next step appears. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And at this moment in time, you're just one of those seat of the pant type authors.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
They're very rare,
Yeah, I'm rare.
Most authors have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So are you going to actually go through every herb as a chapter?
No, this is foraging. So it's like looking at dock. You might find dock in your backyard or your paddock. So having a picture and a description of that. The medicinal purposes, how to harvest it, how to dry that, maybe how to make it into tinctures, how to use it as a food. And I'm sort of toying with, like what scent or what chakras it affects. There's more. I've just got a basic outline, but as I start to write more will come through of how I'm going to present that.
Right. So the next component is, would you go to those print-on-demand operations, or are you just going to do it as a PDF reader and you'll just get it off your Facebook page or your social media?
No, I'd probably like to sit in on how to write a book. I'd probably sit in and do a course like that. I know a few publishers, so I would approach them and just work my way through that too.
Right.
Yeah. Nothing in concrete.
You think that most people now too lazy to read a book and probably more in tune with having a USB stick and place it in their vehicle's car monitoring system, audio system, and then listen to an audio book?
that is a thought that could happen, but I'm pretty old school. I love books, and as far as I'm concerned, books are never will outdate. And I really find that the pictures, I had this dream, and it was really important to incorporate the pictures because it's explaining the herb, and some people need that visual to look at, and then they'll go, aha. So to explain it, auditory, people may not get the clear picture of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So I know Australia is well known for its Australian bush flowers.
Yes.
So you're somehow next generation moving through Australia's bush essences, flowers, tinctures. Is that where we're going with this?
No, not really, because it's not. This is what people would classify. What I'll be writing about is what people classify as a weed, but they do have medicinal purposes. So like the dandelion, certainly can make essences out of them. So the first book is really about foraging. It's just about putting on your boots, going out the backyard and getting to know what's in your environment. And there will be other books, but the first one is, just what's growing in the backyard.
Right. So old school.
Yes.
Most of us, if not everyone over 50, is wearing glasses.
Yes.
So you know how the traditional Word document that goes out on email is 10-point font? Would you be going to around 16?
I haven't even thought about that, Jeff, at all. It'll be bigger than the labels on jars in the supermarket, put it that way.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm quite sure when this responses that we get, that'll be interesting to see what feedback we get.
Yes.
Yeah, bloody brilliant. Yeah, very good. All to do with Australia, or trip to New Zealand, or any Bali or something where you picked up similar foraging?
Yeah, there's different plant life in Bali and, of course, New Zealand. Like I said, the first book will be here in Australia in our own backyard, and then see how that goes, because there will be more than one. There'll be definitely more than one. There'll be about 5 or 6.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you give me food for thought.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Audiobooks.
Okay. I'm making note. I'm taking mental note.
I'm sure there's people there who wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, can't get back to sleep, and they can put the headphones on and listen to your voice. Yeah.
But I did meet someone that I used to teach yoga and meditation to, and I said something along those similar lines, and they said to me, Tricia, we do not want electrical, like computers and that in our bedrooms. We're old school too. We would like a CD. So there's potential for many things.
Yeah, well, I don't take a mobile phone to the bedroom. I walk away from all that electronic stuff. Mind you, 15, 16 years ago, met this guy, Oliver. He came from Wiltshire, and his job was to receive the audio tapes from BBC Radio 4, where they did the radio plays. So his job was to go through the whole recording and take out the ums, the ahs, and any pregnant pauses, and just basically clean it up. That was all those years ago. I thought he was onto something then. Yeah. Right, so let's move on to what you hear. Do you want to start with kinesiology first or herbs? Because kinesiology does play a very important part on just on many fronts. Yeah? Yeah. Maybe if we disclose to people what kinesiology is. Okay,
well, I can disclose the way I perceive it or how I introduce it to people. Kinesiology is like a biofeedback. For me, kinesiology, or our body, is like a computer. The body retains everything down to a cellular level. And it's like using a computer, knowing how to get that information out. So kinesiology is a way of tapping into that knowledge that's within the physical body. And as I say, physical, but it's also mentally, emotionally, etherically, the chakras. So it is a great tool. It is a fantastic tool. And talking about it, I had a session today with some students up in Brisbane, and I take my hat off to the student that was working on me, and we had a great result in the end. It's just amazing how the body responds, the information the body holds on to, and kinesiology is a great way to tap into that information, to release it if anything's holding you back from moving forward, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, whether it's physical.
So we're talking diagnostic tool.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Yes.
So I just had my vehicle in a Toyota for an annual service.
Yes.
So that's what basically you do. You're the human oil and service.
Well, it is like having a service, yes.
Oil and lube service.
Yeah.
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 So the game plan here, if I'm not mistaken, you get people to actually stand up.
Yeah. Once again, kinesiology, I've watched it, it's grown, it's changed. I used to have people standing up, yes, and I'd use an arm as an indicator. So first of all, you do pre-checks, and the pre-checks of the meridians, the central and governing meridians, see that they're running. And you check for hydration, just so you're getting proper readings, and then you ask permission to work with that individual. So it's like you're speaking to that body, and then asking permission and then you're asking the body also, is it okay that you work with me, and is it okay that we do this work, and in a gentle manner. And of course, when you get the responses, I show the people the responses, what I'm looking for, and it's called a stronghold, or you look for it, and that would be a yes with the arm out. You can't really see that. With the arm out. And then a no or an indicator is when the arm relaxes and goes beside the body. So they're the responses you're often looking for. And if there's a stressor online, well, the arm will tell you, and that's where you need to do the clearing work.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you find, you mentioned, well, just exercise here on the show, you used your right hand.
Yes.
Is that your prominent hand?
I'd say so. Yes. Yes.
So when you're working with someone, you either choose their right or left, but you've naturally gone for the right.
Yes. So you can use both. Sometimes that you do need to check up for both, and you'll know when to do that. But if I'm working with someone and they were standing, I'd have both their arms out, both their arms extended, so I would be getting a true reading.
Right.
An unlocked muscle. Yeah. So then you ask the questions. So I could have a locked muscle, and then ask this individual, what are their thoughts on snakes? And if they didn't like snakes, automatically the body would go unlock muscle, because then there was a stressor online. So then you could clear that memory or clear that, and then you check with the body, how does it want it to be cleared? Would it be bark flowers? Is it a colour? Is it a herb? Is it hydration? So there's many ways to balance that back out, and the body will give you all that information.
Right. So it doesn't matter what language the individual standing in front of you, their common denominator is that their body is actually revealing
the truth.
Yeah.
The truth, yes. So I used to say that there's no secrets. There's no secrets. People would say, I could test them up or use them, and they're trying to give up smoking. They say, I haven't had a smoke today, and then the body would come unlocked. So you'd know, you can't pull the wool over someone's eyes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now then, with well, I digress. In England, some 15 years ago, this lady asked me to hold a corn snake.
Mm-hmm.
And because the actual owner felt that there was something wrong with it. And so this lady who did muscle testing, kinesiology, and aromatherapy said, Jeff, hold the snake. Yeah, right, no problem. The lady then went off and got a whole lot of tinctures.
Mm-hmm.
Came back, and then the lady who was doing the facilitating asked the owner then, she tested the owner and then went to the snake and asked the snake if it could be empathized with the owner of the snake. And so as a consequence, it was really interesting to watch how the snake was in this woman's hand while the facilitator was working with one of those hands there to do the, what's the name? And it found out that there was an issue. But the issue wasn't with the snake.
It would be with the owner.
Yeah.
Animals will take on their owner's ailments, conditions, emotions. They're very, very compassionate, empathetic, and that's what they do. So I always, if there's an issue with an animal, I always go, it's the owner. But sometimes you've got to work gently through the animal to release it to the owner. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Right, so with your herbs,
Yes.
are you still foraging and then, but you also grow herbs too, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Right.
Yes.
So then you pluck them, whatever you, dehydrate them,
Yes.
whatever you do.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah, yes, you go find them and make sure if they're not grown at home, that they're not grown near pesticides or highways and things like that. And depending what stock you want, whether it's root stocks, whether it's leaves, whether it's flowers, you can dehydrate them. You can put them in a dehydrator. When I'm at my mum's, I use mum's combustion stove down the bottom, just slowly dehydrate them. Then you can dehydrate them naturally by hanging them up. So there's many ways to do that, but I suppose in this day and age, people want things faster. So, but I still like doing it the old ways. There's something about all that. And then making them into tinctures. So that takes some time too, because they need to be steeped in alcohol, or you can do it in vinegars.
And what was that?
Or in vinegar. That's how they used to do them. Yeah, before a lot of people had alcohol, and then you can make them from there.
So when you say alcohol, if somebody says, I've got some alcohol like a beer, that's not going to be satisfactory. You want the pure stuff from vodka or gin.
That's correct. Vodka, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long do they have to ferment?
Well, it depends on the herbs sometimes and how dry they are. You're better off doing them dry than damp so they don't cause mold, doesn't grow on them. It varies. It varies. And I suppose it depends how attentive you are to turning them and having them in the right areas and things like that. Yeah. And you always write the dates on it anyway that you start the process, so you've got a good idea. Otherwise, you have no idea.
Right. So back in the 18th century, we'll come up to the 19th century.
I wasn't quite around then.
Now, there was a lady called Vera Adler.
Mm-hmm.
And she wrote about the fact that the colours of bottles can impact on the liquid that's inside the bottle.
Correct.
And particularly if it's placed out in the sun.
Yes.
It can actually transmute and change the whole structure of the liquid.
Yes.
Do you do the same with your?
I do it. I don't do it with the herbs at present, but I do it with water, with drinking water. And yes, I've had amazing experiences, and using the drinking water if you're making like essences and things like that too. So you have that potential and the power of that color vibration. Definitely. Yeah.
Do you find that, most people who are into like Rudolf Steiner and his putting stuff in the cow horns and burying it in the ground on a full moon, do you follow some of those principles of the moon cycle?
Yes, definitely, depending on the plant and the root system, and all those things come into play too. But once again, that's like the old ways, and it's lovely to do that if you have the time to do that. It's, people wanting certain plants or needing certain herbs. It's not always the way to go these days.
So if you're working with the moon cycle, do you go with the waxing moon or the?
Well, it's like when you plant your seeds, you plant the seeds on the new moon. It's like, you know, even subconsciously you want to plant new seeds. You do that on a new moon and also in the ground. No, it really depends on the herb. Some herbs, like on a new moon, you'll find the root systems come closer to the surface of the soil. So yeah, it will vary. It will vary from herb to herb.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the waxing and waving moon, but the Aborigines also talk about the moon where you see the dark side in a curve.
Yes.
And then you see the light above it, which means the water's being collected, and it goes the other way, the water's coming out.
There you go. Yes. So if you want to keep that, the moisture in the herb. So yes, there's definitely, they're the way to go. Definitely, right. Yeah.
Now, there's a lady up in Siberia called Anastasia, and the guy from Moscow, came up on a steamship up the Volga and came across this woman, and she expressed to him that the best thing you can do when you're growing a garden is get the seeds.
Put them in your mouth.
Yeah.
So then it's your DNA. So then when you're putting it in, so then that plant will grow to your DNA. Yeah, or that herb. So then when you take it, the DNA, well, the DNA's got all our truth in it. So then it will vibrate at that energy, that level, so it will go to the healing, to do the healing right down to the DNA.
So over a process, if you follow those principles, and then you've got a harvest, and so now the fruits and the veggies are now to your vibration.
Yes.
Now you're mirroring that. So the next time you got a set of seeds from the same crop, rather than go to the shop to get them, and you plant them again, would you say that you're actually increasing the vibration, or are they staying at the same?
Well, I suppose if my vibration has changed, I'd still like to, put them in my mouth too, to lift that energy. It's like, yeah, I'd definitely do it again, because I know after taking that herb and the healing taking place, that vibration of, my being will be certainly changed, evolved.
Sure.
Yeah.
It also comes back to your intention too. What's going on in your mental body, would you say? Emotional body? Well,
intention plays a big role. There's no use taking any herbs or medicines and going, oh, that's shit house or that's horrible. And, how's it going to do its work if you've, got that mindset, if you take it each time? So, intention is important.
But we've seen that with the Japanese Dr. Mamoto with the thoughts and intentions relating to
water and ice, yeah.
You don't realise just how important your thoughts are.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old see the half glass full or half empty. Yeah, okay. So have you got any popular herbs that you love frolicking around with?
No, what I like the most is finding where they do pop up, and I'm surprised where they do pop up. And then when I share them with the people who live on that property, and it's all unbeknownst to them. So I think, for me, it's more of a treat finding them in the yards or in paddocks and going, oh, look where you're growing and why are you growing there, more so than having a favourite one.
Do you also get into the fungi and the mushrooms?
There's medicinal purposes for them. They call me. I see them all the time. Every time I go on a walk, without fail, they're calling me, and I love taking photos of them. But that's as far as I go with them. It's funny.
All right.
Yeah.
The lion's mane.
Yes. Yeah. Very. And the turkey and all that. They're very popular.
Yeah.
But did you hear that joke? What one mushroom said to the other mushroom? What did the girl mushroom say to the boy mushroom?
Come on.
You're a funny guy.
Very clean. For an earthy joke.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So the mycelium network is alive and well.
Yes, definitely.
And you often see some of your herbs growing pretty close to the mushrooms, or the mushrooms on your little trees or shrubs?
No, I don't. Actually, I don't see a lot of herbs growing there. That's, I think that environment might be too moist, and yeah, no, I don't see many herbs growing there.
All right. Do you find that based on the pH of the soil, that one season might be varying to another based on the drought or floods?
Yes, it can be. But I find herbs are pretty hardy, and once again, it's like rotating your crops. You know, one year you put one plant there, and then after you've harvested it, you might rest that soil, and then you may harvest it somewhere else. Yeah.
Obviously, fire plays a very important part in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So all those elements, drought, floods, and fires, really test our plant kingdom, doesn't it?
Yes, but it's what's the word I'm looking for? But it pops back up. It can be burnt. It can go under floods, and the seeds will travel, and they pop back up. Definitely.
All right.
Mm.
Like I said, do you have a favourite state in Australia where you seem to be a prolification of plants?
No, I don't think so.
Like Tasmania, Victoria, well, Victoria probably with its 4 seasons in a day type climate.
No, I found, when I lived in Victoria and New South Wales, lived very country. So I found most of the things growing there were very similar, like out in the paddocks and locally. Yeah. And still here, up in Queensland, if I go rural, I find the same things growing in paddocks.
Right.
Mm.
So let's get their tinctures out. And so a human comes knocking on your door,
Mm-hmm.
and says, "Is there anything that you can assist me with my personal growth,
Mm-hmm.
on my health?"
Mm-hmm.
So just talk us through how you would go.
Okay, so if someone comes to me regarding their physical well-being, say they've got an ailment or a condition, what I do first of all, I do work with colour also. So I get them to select the colours, some colours, and that starts to tell me a story about them. I also test up with kinesiology, aromatherapy, and that also tells me a little bit more of a story. It's like a jigsaw, all these little bits start to come together. I also test up their bark flowers, and then that tells me what's going on from mentally and emotionally. I place them on the table. I do some healing to see what patterning has created that illness. And it can be generational. It can be present time. It can be a belief. It can be a thought process. It can be foods. So all those things are checked. And then at the end, once all that has been cleared, so really the session I do is about 45 minutes to an hour. But if I did all those individually, it'd be up to about 3 hours. So I've refined it down and nothing is overlooked. And then I test up for the herbs to see what herbs they're needing and go from there. So then I either blend them and then they take them, because we've done all the work. We've done all the clearing right down to a DNA and down to a cellular level. So then it's about bringing back the vitality to the organs and glands, or working right down to the DNA and restructuring that. Yeah.
All right. So I actually put up some phone numbers there.
Yes.
Well, it's actually one phone number.
Mm-hmm.
This one for Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And the same number for overseas callers.
Yes.
So with modern Zoom,
Yep.
Skype, or Facebook, whatever, Telegram, Signal, do you find you get people now coming in from a remote spot? I mean, so when I say remote, you're the one who's remote.
Yes.
Everybody else is they can actually come to you remotely?
They can, but I prefer hands-on. I much prefer to be in the energy of the individual. I feel it loses something for me. I know a lot of people do it, but once again, I prefer to have that one-on-one.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Now, you just moved up from New South Wales,
Yes, I have.
and you've just come up to the northern part of the Gold Coast, southern part of Brisbane.
Yes.
So you're very close to get onto the freeway.
Yes.
Do you go to people, or
I could go to people, yes, and I've done that many times before.
you
That's
do
more
so?
convenient. Yeah.
If it's going to take 3 hours, you take your whole kit and you become a travelling locum.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the back seat of my car goes down and everything fits in lovely.
All right. So do you ever find people ask, to the whole family?
After you've worked with an individual once or twice, yes, then they see the benefits and they will ask, yes, definitely, to work with the family. Yeah.
So you do the family individually?
Yes.
Or can you get...
No, individually. I find, like when I was studying herbal medicine, I had to do 150 hours with a herbalist, and she would ask the clients if it was okay that I sit in on their consult. And of course, some said yes, some said no. But I remember there was a young boy, and I kept getting these sensations under my armpits, and I kept getting I was itchy. And so after he left, I spoke to the herbalist, and what we came up with was the parents were holding him back, and it was really irritating him, and it was getting under his skin. So in a sense, if I was to work with that boy, I'd have to work one-on-one to go through the parents. The parents wouldn't understand what he was feeling or thinking, or that they were irritating, and they might take it personally too. Whereas that's his journey, and so I'd like to work individually, so it's confidential.
Well, but I was thinking that you had more lined up. Got their hands
boom,
out.
boom, boom, boom.
And you're going...
Like dominoes.
Yeah, just saying, you guys are all lactose intolerant, or you're gluten intolerant. So you go through the whole family, boom, boom, and everybody can see.
Well, you can, and kinesiology is really good for also doing that, testing up for allergies. So you can place the product on your navel and you can test, but also the body can be its own. You can place it on your navel, the body will go forward for yes, and it'll go backwards for no. So yes, it's saying this is okay for your body. If it goes backwards, no, it's not okay. And if it just stays neutral, well, there's no, you can have it, but it's not good or not bad for you. Yeah.
This one's totally out of left field.
Okay.
All right, question. Now, this guy, David Phillips, is Australia's #1 engram expert.
Right.
So it talks about 9 different personalities.
Yes.
And each personality has got 3 aspects to them. So it goes 1 to 9. So a 3, 6 and 9 are the 3 components.
Yep.
So the question is, when he listens to a person, he can see whether or not there are 3, which means will show no substance. If there are 6, then they're a long-term strategic thinker and they don't take kindly to authority.
Mm-hmm.
A 9 is one who moves into a monotone voice and puts everybody to sleep, primarily, yeah. So 7 is someone who's very creative and requires facilities where they don't have to work 9 to 5, but they could come in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and go to 10 o'clock at night, or they could come in at 10 o'clock at night and leave at 8 o'clock in the morning. But they bring their dog or cat or their fish bowl. Yeah, very creative. No walls as such. But then you go to a 5, And a 5 requires a security card. And wherever you go, you've got to go through and hit the key card to go from one room to another. It's all compartmentalized. So primarily what I'm referring to is that if you've got a business that's creative, you can't have a 5 because they won't too introverted.
Yeah.
A convoluted process of getting to the answers. So his role is to go and find out people who can match up with the business structure and the strategy.
Yes.
Now I'm moving across to kinesiology.
Yes.
And can you probably do the same where you do the chairman of the board, the CEO, the chief financial officer, the marketing manager, and the downstreams, just to see whether the body's going to tell you whether these are the right people for this business?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Or is that in the, is this, because the potential, definitely, because the body doesn't, there's no secrets, the body doesn't hide anything. So, you could test all that up.
Right. So in business is all about relationships. And so too is life. So when you're doing the family, that's going to be an interesting combination of whether some have an affinity with each other, or whether opposites attract, or whether there's conflict.
Which happens in all families, doesn't it? One way or another.
So if someone's listening to us who's from a dating app, they could actually seek your services.
And find their right partner.
Yeah. Complementary or opposites?
No, you wouldn't be you wouldn't be doing that. You'd be more looking at clearing energy so they could bring in the right person, not going, okay, I want to date this person. Is she going to be the right one for me? No. But it could be a good marketing strategy. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't work like that because, I'm more into the health and well-being and people living, a good life. Yeah.
Well, marriage is about being healthy. Right. So, is there a question that should be asked that has never been asked of you?
I don't know.
In other words, if someone comes to you and say, do I need to take this as a liquid?
Yes.
Do I need to take it out of the liquid and do I need to pound it up, turn it into powder?
Yeah. But you can test all that up. So there's many ways. And I mean, even if it was a client and they went home and they go, I use kinesiology like this, that's like a stronghold. And then I use my other 2 fingers in between and I ask for a yes. And I ask for a no, and when a no, there's an unlocked muscle, so the muscle unlocks, or that's an indicator. I can have a client sitting opposite me, and if they ask that question without even having to get up, I just tune into them, and I go, okay, do they need liquid? Do they need tablets? Do they need homeopathics? Do they need, and I can test up how many drops, how many times a day. Same with affirmations, so with everything,
While you're talking there, I got taken to a TV show called Queer Eye on a Straight Guy.
You never watched it.
And well, there's one bloke there who was in the clothing, the fashion statement and all that stuff, and the clothes maketh the man, or clothes maketh the woman. Can we actually do the same when it comes to fashion, where a person comes to you and says, do I suit an autumn, summer, spring or winter look? Can that be done on kinesiology, and obviously colours represent those 4 seasons? Is that something else that the body can actually reveal?
Oh, no doubt it would, but that's not how I work. I suppose if they were coming they were going for an interview or something like that and they wanted to dress appropriate, that's something else you could check up once you'd cleared all the energy around going to the interview or whatever might have been holding them back. And then so, yeah, you could also check, is it necessary to check to see what colour, what season colour. Sometimes it's just better off just being yourself.
True. Now, the reason I went down that path was to direct you to the next path, which is aurosoma,
Yes.
which relates to colours as well.
Yes.
So people look at them bottles and they can have all these different 2 combinations.
Yes.
And your eyes are your eyes deceiving you, or are they percepting in an auric fashion?
Okay, so you do choose the colours that you need, or the colour chooses you. It's really interesting because it's a 4-bottle selection process, and often people have come and they've chose their bottles, and then I'll say to them, have a look at the colour clothes you've got on. So already they know they need that colour. So it intuitively, or there's this knowing. Say one lady came to me, she had a white top on and a pink skirt. The second bottle she chose was white over pink, so, and then I go, have a look at that, and it was like, oh my goodness, but they'd already dressed in that, so they were already ready. Sometimes it's like when you make an appointment, the energy is like with Reiki and things like that, the energy starts to work because you've committed to it. So she'd already committed to a session, she chose those colours. So, colour does play a big role too. But yeah, dressing for job interviews, that's not how I work with it. Yeah.
You actually responded by saying, be yourself.
Yes.
So the perception would be not only the clothes become part of you, but your essence is now transmuting itself, and the person who's interviewing you is going to be receptive to the fact that you're relaxed, know the product, know their company, and what the industry is all about, because you're relaxed and you're into your own body. That's the secret, isn't it?
I believe so. Be true to yourself. So if you're dressing to impress somebody, you might feel awkward or uncomfortable. Yeah.
Well, if you're dressing to impress, it's almost like you become an actor or an actress to go onto the stage, and you're seeing one, act 1, scene 1. But you come to act 4, the last scene, divorce.
I was thinking, well,
because you haven't been true to yourself.
That's right, Romeo and Juliet. Yeah.
Influences from the family. So the question of money, how do you put that together for someone coming knocking on your door?
The cost, is that what you're...
Well, I know it's very awkward to say to someone, you're going to be with me for 3 hours. People wouldn't believe that you're going to be with you for 3 hours.
No.
It'd be 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah. I always charge for the hour. If it goes over the hour, that's fine. And because I want to make sure the work's done, it's not like you can go, okay, look, we've got to put a Band-Aid on that. We haven't finished it. Sometimes people only process to a certain level, and then they do need the other, because it's like you don't want to go straight to the core. So it's building rapport. So when I start working with, this building that trust factor, rapport between both of us, it's like, that scenario of peeling the onion. So a few layers come off, and then once you've built that rapport, then you find a few more layers come off, and then you're deeply in there, and that's been cleared. So most times it can be cleared in one session, depending how deep the trauma is. It could be 3 sessions, and then that's it.
Good.
Yeah. So I wouldn't do 3 hours. I wouldn't do 3 hours with someone. That would not be, it'd be exhausting.
Conducive.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that they're travelling to meet you, or you're meeting them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do
you prefer to be in a closed environment, or you can do it out in the scene here in the background to me, out in nature?
Oh, I love working out in nature. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it just depends what comes up for that individual. If there's a lot of tears, there's a lot of trauma, they've got to feel safe and not feel vulnerable. So it's more about where the client feels safe.
True.
Yeah.
You find that working with nature,
Yeah.
you're more involved with negative ions that balances living in a metropolitan environment? Because you mentioned before about plants that are close to the highway,
Yeah.
or industrial areas. I mean, it tells a lot, doesn't it?
I know plants still thrive and grow well, but you wouldn't want to utilise them because of all the chemicals and pollutions and things like that. Yeah, you'd have to find a nice spot in nature. Running water would be ideal, not a lot of people around. So unless, you've built rapport with the individual, to do it first out in nature probably wouldn't be the case. But I think my first healing was out in nature. Actually, it was at a confest. And I was under a big gum tree and on a table. There was a few people working on me, and I had an amazing experience. And that's probably what's led me down this path. And I felt the power of it. Yeah. So that was lovely in nature, but that was a totally different environment. It was love, peace, and brown rice.
So many people been doing cacaos, ceremonies, ayahuasca, toad, puppy, what's it called? Starts with P, peyote. You come across many people who have been through that and just need to get readjusted, come in for a service.
Yes, a lot of people have been through that. Yeah, it's up to each individual, but yes, afterwards, some people have been left shattered, unfortunately. It is as it is, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The spiritual side of plants, working with the elementals and the divas, have you been privy to seeing that in your own dreams, meditations, or open-eyed just by working in an environment?
Yes. And actually, at the moment, I'm working with Katumi, and Katumi, he's a master, and he works on the pale yellow ray, and he also works with the divas and the plant energies and that. Yeah, I love that. I love that side of it. Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Well, we might have to wind this up.
Yes.
But it's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Is there a question I should be asking?
No, not that I know of. Nothing that's come to mind.
All right.
No. Just, yeah, I think I truly believe, for me, I just love nature. I just love all the aspects of it, the healing. I'm in total awe of it every day. And for me, that's a blessing, yeah.
Right, I'll just put your phone numbers up.
Mm-hmm.
So people can ring you. They do travel.
Yes.
From southeast Queensland, down to New South Wales, Victoria.
Yes, I do Victoria too, yep.
Okay. Well, pleasure.
Thank you.